Welcome to the True Wealth Investors Real Estate Podcast. Creative investing strategies to help you build true wealth. I'm your host, Chad Harris. All right, welcome everybody. Glad to have you back. This is the place where we figure out how to make money in real estate investing today, not waiting and planning for tomorrow. We're going to make money today, and I'm glad you're here. So that's one of the core beliefs, and it's really opposed to one of the most foundational mistakes I see new investors make. New investors have a tendency or a trap that they fall into where they plan and they consider all of the things and they think, well, when I have it all 100% figured out, then I'll make a decision and I'll move forward and I'll take action. And the whole time they're doing that, they're planning and they're learning and they're strategizing. They're looking at the environment. They're looking at the market and they're looking at interest rates and they're looking at all these external factors and they're thinking, oh man, it's a tough time. It's a tough time to invest right now. Now here's the real glitch. It doesn't matter what those external factors are, they're going to find reasons why it's hard, right? If it's let's say it's a seller's market. Oh man, it's hard to find deals. Gosh, it's just the good deals go so quick. Well, what if it's a buyer's market? There's deals everywhere, but the financing is impossible to get. I just can't qualify for financing. Banks aren't lending, right? There's always, if we want to find a reason why it's hard, there's always a reason. However, the opposite is true. If you want to make money today, investing in real estate today, there is a way to do it. Okay. And that's what the channel is all about, so that we can make money now, not wait until tomorrow. All right. And today's topic is about avoiding those mistakes that too many investors make waiting for tomorrow. So a lot of times, even when they do take action, they have a tendency of saying, well, I'm going to just do what I can now and I'll solve all these problems in the future, right? Business structures, LLCs, insurance, blah, 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 blah. And that save themselves a lot of trouble if you do it right the first time from square one. So this is a discussion from a teaching that I did recently called Real Estate 101, kind of those foundational topics of what to include, what you need to know to get started so that you can take action right away and not make mistakes that kind of hinder you and hold you up down the road. And these are mistakes I made, right? I'm speaking from experience. It would have been a lot better if I had not done them and would have known how to start day one. So my coaching clients benefit from knowing how to take those initial steps and how to invest correctly so that there aren't problems down the road. All right. So enjoy the discussion and we'll catch you right back here next week. Until then, keep building your dream life one door at a time.
I would assume from the look of all of those, you would recommend that everyone do deals only through like an LLC or some kind of business setup, not through your own name, not as just like some random, not me just as an individual. Is that because of protections and from the business with the business aspect or tax or all of those things?
Okay. Man,
Sorry.
we're really getting into it tonight.
I am.
All right,
I'm
we're
giving you all the
covering
good ones.
everything.
Hey, Kimberly.
Sorry.
Hey, Kimberly.
Yes.
You're a bad woman because you were reading my mind. You're a bad woman.
Okay. Perfect question. So, one, because it was kind of it came from the credibility kit. So the credibility kit, the more personal you make it, the better. Okay. So it's not me in a nice shirt, right, on the kit. It's me and my family, wearing ratty t-shirts. So because it is a relational, you
Mhm.
want it to be very personal. But for security and tax purposes, you're going to want to structure the deals. So you should own your properties in LLCs. It's easier for taxes if it's single uh, member managed LLC, because then it's a pass through entity and you don't have a separate tax return. Even if you're married, um, if you have, if you're trying to distinguish passive and active income, and once your business gets to a certain size, then you would want to have some other kind of corporation that's active and let your ownership entities be passive. So, let's say you have an S corp that pays you a salary, and that's your active income. And then it's what management company does flips, does wholesales, whatever. It does anything active. It has liability, and then it pays the proceeds out to the holding companies that are passive and don't have liability. And that distinguishes active and passive income, which is taxed differently. So,
So Chad, so if you're okay, so if you're just starting out, and we got some folks that are just starting out, you establish an LLC, right? You put that property in the LLC. You do your deal. Ah, cut my teeth.
yep.
Got my first tooth in. So then I go and do another deal. I still have the LLC. I might have that asset in there. That okay. Everybody play Monopoly, right? Yes. Okay. So I got my little greenhouse
Yes.
in my LLC envelope. So far, so good, because I'm a visual learner. I get a second house. Here's the question: do I put the second house in a separate envelope, or do I put the second greenhouse in the same envelope as the first one? So far, so
Yeah,
good.
good
Now,
question.
now check this out. So now I got two greenhouses in one envelope. I'm trying to grow so I can take those four greenhouses and get that red apartment building, like in the game Monopoly. When I graduate to that point, my cash flow and my experience and my real estate character and credibility have grown. So now I'm no longer just using one LLC. I got that S Corp, and now my properties, I got six, and each
So,
envelope has one greenhouse in it. But you got to grow to that point. Would you agree or disagree?
yes, mostly. Yeah, yes. So you're gonna have, okay, I agree with everything except you don't necessarily want just one property in each LLC.
You
But
don't.
it
It
would depend
depends on,
how big you're gonna get, right? Or
and you
let's
never know
say
from you never know from the beginning.
you don't, but okay. So, and one clarification thing too. Let's say you don't have an LLC and you're out there hustling for deals.
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't even worry about the LLC. Get that deal, man.
Yep.
Buy the
Copy.
house,
Got it. Got you. Got you.
put it in your name, and who cares? The next day you can set up that LLC and go down and you pay this minuscule little fee to transfer it from your personal name to the LLC.
LLC. Okay.
Is really not a big deal, right? Or if you've already bought a property and you bought it in your name, it's not a big deal. That's what I did. I don't know how many properties I had when I learned that, and then I just went down and transferred them into
Okay.
LLC.
Okay.
And then for how many properties you put in an LLC, essentially, my insurance agent way back when said, because I asked him the same question, he said, essentially, if some catastrophic event occurred and the damages were more than your liability insurance, right? Which you're going
Yep.
to carry liability insurance. If they exceed that, then you want to just compartmentalize the amount you're willing to lose in that extreme scenario.
Okay.
So if you have, let's say, 10 properties, maybe you're going to end up with 4 LLCs. I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um, I heard Mike Butler, who's a big national speaker one time, and he talked about how he liked to separate out C-class properties from his A-class properties.
That's what
And
I was just gonna ask. Do you just end up basically, you're gonna lump these riskier properties together in one
it
LLC?
really,
Well, it's
it's
your
really
choice,
gonna,
obviously, but, is
it's
that's
gonna
how you're
come down to
diversifying your
you
risk.
because let's say okay, let's say you say, well, I've got these riskier properties. And I'm going to put them in one LLC, and I've got these low risk properties in nice neighborhoods in another LLC. Well, usually you end up with riskier properties that get paid down quicker, and you carry less debt on them. And the nicer houses, you end up carrying more debt. That's just the
Yep.
way it
Yep. Yep.
works.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And which means that in actuality, that means you have more equity in those high risk properties and you have made them more appealing to attorneys, because if they start snooping around, they will ask for information about what is loaned on them and they can see if there's a loan on the property. So
Okay.
you've almost made it higher risk, so I just tend to think you spread it out and you don't want too much equity in any one entity. And that's
Thank you.
completely
Good,
up to
good to know.
you how you can sleep at night and how much is in each entity, if that makes sense.
So, all right. So, do you grow your umbrella? I'm making the assumption that you have an umbrella policy
Yeah,
that you grow as those assets in your entity are acquired,
right. Yep. And
because
everything
that's going to be your
falls
first.
under
That's
that
going to be your first
policy.
line if something goes on. Well, this huge umbrella, which we call the umbrella of risk, all my properties are underneath that big umbrella. Or do you have to have an umbrella policy based on the LLC itself?
No, well, first you push renter's insurance. So that should be the first thing for anything that happens. And then
Okay.
after that,
Yeah.
you should have everything under one umbrella. So
Who gets the renter's insurance? The renters, or you're required to get that for them? What if
The
you
renters, the renters,
the
but
renter,
then the
doesn't
they
that
renters,
cover their property though? Like their
no, it's
stuff,
your property. It covers their personal property.
right? Does
right.
it cover your property though? No.
Yes. So it will cover something like that they've caused. So we had, let's say, as an example, one of our houses, we had a fire. Obviously, we had insurance to cover that fire. But they had renter's insurance, so it covered their belongings, and some of the fire. So,
Mm.
so that will be a buffer and cover some of those initial expenses. So,
What's an umbrella policy? I know it covers a whole bunch of things, but why is that important? Is it important to get when you get multiple properties?
no,
Because
you should have it with your first property, just because, I mean, it's basically a liability that covers just about anything that happens on the property or related to your business. So
Hey, Chad,
somebody
if
walking down the
like,
sidewalk and trips. Hey, yeah, we have an expert on the call.
I go a little bit deeper into it. So basically, you have your underlying policies, right? So your auto policy, your home policy, commercial policy, etc. Now there's two different types of umbrellas, commercial and personal. For your personal, anything over top of what your home, auto, renters, etc. um go. So say that you hit a school bus, you had $250,000 in liability. But for all the hospital bills, you owe 1.5 million. Then the umbrella takes over up to whatever that amount is beyond your underlying policy, right? So if you have $1 million umbrella, $250,000 underlying policy, well, 250, 500 underlying policy. So that's $1.5 million total. That's going to come from insurance instead of your pocket. Same thing with your commercial. You'll see oftentimes the umbrellas, at least our umbrella, requires 1 million, 2 million underlying, and then whatever up to $15 million for us. Anything that comes in addition to that underlying policy. So once your underlying policy runs out of money, your umbrella policy takes over and pays for everything else that you're liable for.
Where do you find an umbrella policy? How do you apply for it? Where you look?
Talk to your insurance agent. So the same people who insure your cars, your business, etc.,
Or like
more
Geico?
likely than not will have access to umbrella policies.
And just to clarify, this is something this is not homeowners insurance for that property. Is this something separate, like a specific landlord insurance, or what are we talking about here?
So the umbrella policy, honestly, it's just like it sounds. It catches whatever your homeowners or your auto doesn't catch, or your commercial policy for that matter doesn't catch. Um, so so when you think about your liability, so obviously it's not going to pay you anything, right? But what you owe other people in excess of your usual policy, the policy that you think of the most, it catches that.
Okay.
And yeah, perfect. Thank you for that explanation, Albertis. And then somebody asked about like a homeowner policy. If you have a rental property, it's going to be a little bit different policy. If you're doing a flip, it's going to be a different kind of policy too. So
And some carriers will allow you a landlord little piece to your homeowner's policy, a landlord's endorsement, we call it. But it's pretty strict what the stipulations are on those. It's unless you're renting out space in your own personal house, like your primary house, I usually just suggest people get a habitational policy, and so basically that landlord policy, and just take care of it that way. It's just easier, sometimes less expensive.
we are adding new episodes every week, so make sure and subscribe and check out all of our content at truewealthinvestors.com.